Welcome back. Welcome back to part two of your degree. I'm welcoming you back from my kitchen rather than my office. I'm welcoming you back sat in Didcot rather than in Reade. And somebody nearby is doing some DIY renovations, and so you may well hear some interruptions. This is our COVID age. Welcome back to the university in our COVID age. It's very different from last year when we met in the Van Enden Lecture Theatre. Mark from Politics got you all to clap. You might remember that. And pat each other on the back. Not in the time of COVID-19, sadly. Welcome back, though, nonetheless. And we're really pleased to have you back wherever you happen to be. Hopefully you are not far from Reading. Hopefully you're closer to Reading than I am, in fact. Sat here in my kitchen. Now, you got through your first year. You got through your first year, part one, in the time of COVID. Well done. Maybe you've already repressed those memories of the spring and the exam period. Now, if you have, don't let anybody tell you that it was somehow easy to have got through your first year because of COVID. Somehow easy because your exams were take home and you could open your textbook if you wanted to and had 24 hours. You had to deal with all sorts of difficulties, all sorts of pressures, uncertainties, and you all coped and you're all back with us. And I'm really, really pleased about that. So well done. Again, don't let anybody tell you it was easy. Don't let anybody tell you that you shouldn't be here, you shouldn't be back. You're an integral part of who we are as a Department of Economics, and I'm really pleased that you're back with us. Why? Well, one of the things that we're most keen on you developing while you're with us is resilience, that inherent spirit that enables you to get back up in spite of all the things that life may throw at you. That you're back with us tells you that you're developing that resilience, and developing resilience is something that you do. It's not given to you or passed down to you at birth by some elaborate ceremony. It comes from the choices that you're making, and in particular the choices you're making at these really formative times of your lives, like when you're at university. I know you get bored by old people like us telling you that we remember our times at university, but it's genuinely true that you're forming memories now. You're shaping yourselves now in ways that will influence the way you are for years to come. You'll remember these times for many, many years. Now, we know as a department, from having many, many years of students doing their degrees with us, that the second year is a little bit different. It can be tricky. You're not new anymore. Everything isn't quite as novel and different as it was. You're not necessarily meeting new folk either anymore, which could be fine. You could be doing just fine with your friendship groups that you made last year. Everything's going along hunky-dory. But equally, you may not be in that position. I know I personally found that when I was at university. And so it might not be a great thing that you're not able to meet new people at the moment in the same way that you could back this time last year. On top of all of that, on the social side of things, while your modules are getting a bit harder, I have to admit, we are, as academic staff, as your lecturers, we're starting to expect more from you as you move into your second year. And so it's been called the second year dip. And I'm really keen that you're aware of this, just in case you are feeling that a little bit, or in case you're feeling it a lot. The main thing that I'd like to really, really emphasize, wherever you are as you return to us, is that you talk to us, you're in touch with us. Find your academic tutor, especially if you haven't spoken to them before now. With modern technology, their office phone line, which they'll likely list on their email address, or you'll be able to find on the website, well, it will go through to their laptop via Teams. And hence, if your academic tutor is at work, which they almost certainly will be during work hours, then you can reach your academic tutor potentially even more effectively than you could do in the old physical time you had to go knock on a door. Your academic tutors will be in touch with you because they will be suggesting ways in which you can access them in their office hours in these strange and unusual times. And the reason why I say that is because, unfortunately, I don't like talking about these kinds of things because it's a reflection of the way things are at the moment. It's not appropriate to have face-to-face meetings where you might knock on a lecturer's door in the Edith Morley building at the moment. You'll find if you go, there's even fewer staff around than there usually was last year. Okay, very few of us are in because it's very difficult to maintain social distancing in a building like Edith Morley, especially as You guys are going to be coming into the teaching spaces in Edith Morley on an hourly basis once term begins. So what that means is we do have to do things virtually. And that's especially true because, as you're probably aware, restrictions are starting to increase again as we worry about whether this second wave is going to really take hold or whether we can mitigate things in the next few weeks. The thing I want to emphasize is it doesn't mean you can't get hold of us. You can get hold of us by old-fashioned email, or you can get hold of us via Teams. And the one thing I want to really emphasize here is if you can't get hold of your academic tutor, please do get in touch with me. And if I happen not to reply to your email within a day or so, please send the email again. It's the nature of the job. I get many hundreds of emails on a regular basis, and sometimes I don't reply to the emails that really, really need my attention. And so please do not feel any shame in reminding me if I haven't replied to your email within a day. Now, as you're returning, do give some thought to your modules for the coming year. You've hopefully had information on this already, and so I'm not going to repeat the technical details of where you go and how you do this and that and the other, but do think about what interests you most when you're making your choices. You're going to have to study these modules for the next academic year and take exams in about 9 months' time. So it's going to be good if it's a module that you think is really interesting. Also think about what that choice will mean for next year, your part 3, because modules have prerequisites, as you'll be well aware. And what you'd like doing also the year after that, whether you're doing further study or whether you're going out into the world of work. The choices that you make now are going to impact what you do later. Now, in this coming year, you're going to be studying intermediate macroeconomics with Mark Guzman, intermediate microeconomics with Minyan Zhu, and you'll be studying either of, or both even, of introductory and intermediate econometrics with Stephen Bosworth and Hussein Hassan in all likelihood, and a range of other core modules depending on your program. These core modules set you up, get you ready for the range of optional modules that you can study. And there's a bunch of great part 2 modules out there. If I had my time again, I'd be choosing History of Economic Thought by Marina Del Giusta and Games and Economic Behaviour by Stephen Bosworth. Why? Well, it's hugely important to be aware of the big developments that shaped our field during its history and during its development. Because what we think determines what we do, what we investigate, what we learn about the world. Schools of thought have really shaped our profession dramatically over the years, and they're surely going to continue to do so. So it's great to be aware of them. And you get to learn about all the greats, Ricardo, Adam Smith, Jevons, etc., all these kinds of people, big names in the field. And behavioral economics is one of those schools of thought. So hence games and economic behavior, I would be going for myself. Behavioral economics has come to dominate the field in recent years, and rightly so, because, well, the assumption that we act rationally just isn't a great assumption. And behavioral economics breaks that down and thinks about the ways in which we don't behave rationally. We don't act rationally when we've got loads of information, for example, like you got when you were turning back to university, loads of information bombarding you, and it's changing every day with COVID. In this situation, we follow simple rules of thumb, by and large. I'm going to carry on doing what I've always done, for example. So what I would do is I would take those 2 modules. But hopefully you'll have seen another module, because there's another great module new this year that I would take if I wasn't lecturing it myself. It's the Economics of Big Social Data. It's run by To Pham, who is a real expert in the economics of social media. I've done some work in the area as well, so we are both really well placed to lecture on this module. I'm dead excited about it because, well, we all know full well social media dominates where we are, be it Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, all these different things. They're where we share things, talk about ourselves, and we talk about others. We share the wonderful things in our lives and the things we want to do. And therefore, they're, if you like, a place where all the information out there is. Okay, information about what we're going to do, what we're going to buy, well, how we're going to vote. In principle, that information is all out there because we're talking about it, we're sharing it, and we're quantifying it, turning it into text that we can look at and consider later. So political parties are keen to be on Facebook, on Twitter, to try and influence our behavior because they certainly hope that that's possible. And there are bots that we're aware of as well, these anonymous accounts. pile-ons, all these kinds of things that take place on social media. And what resemblance does it all really bear to reality, real world outcomes? Is it one big echo chamber? Take the module, find out more. I'd really encourage you to, because I'm really looking forward to the module, to teaching on it. The most important thing this year, though, is that we're carrying on. COVID-19 isn't going away, frustratingly, and it does make things difficult, but we're still a community, an academic community. It's still our department, and we're still the same members of staff, with a few changes that I'll introduce you to by emails as we go along in the next week or so. So please do keep in touch. Keep checking your email, checking Blackboard, and make sure you're on Essentials too, because there's loads of information on there. All the information you could possibly need is on Essentials, so please do head on there. And keep in touch with yourself as well. Make sure that you're getting good exercise on a daily basis. It's going to be really important if you're not moving around the campus from lecture hall to library to classroom. Those kinds of little movements, those little changes, they're important to your general health. So please do make sure you're getting a bit of exercise, even if it's just a gentle jog around the lake. And please, I don't like to talk about this, but please, in these strange, unusual, difficult times, be aware of your responsibilities. You'll have learned in economics last year about private costs, about private benefits, social costs and social benefits, externalities. COVID-19 is an externality. It's a great example, sadly, because private decisions can lead to the spread of a very harmful virus with very negative effects on other people who haven't made any kinds of choices. So please try and factor in the net social benefits of your actions when you're taking them. Where to go tonight, where to go tomorrow night, what to do in the daytime, etc. Please do wear masks in teaching rooms and in enclosed spaces around the university. It's part of us looking out for each other as an academic community. And please do maintain social distancing and do pay attention to all those yellow stickers around campus. And I know it's hard, I know it's very frustrating. I hate wearing masks too, seriously. But it's really important if we're going to get to that post-COVID world sometime soon. I'm going to keep on emailing each week this term, possibly more frequently depending on how things go. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you too. I've had lots of contact with you over the last year. Really enjoyed it. It's really great for me to get a good sense of what's going on. I'm looking forward to the coming year and learning about what's happening in the coming year. It's going to be weird, different, difficult, but it's still going to be a central part of your university experience. And I know you're going to be great.